Hi, my name is Jessica. I work for the Evanston Ecology Center, and today I'm going to walk you through some eco life hacks. We'll go room by room to think about different ways that you can do things more environmentally friendly every day. Before we start, though, I'll say two things. One is that a lot of people have the idea that doing something that is environmentally friendly means doing something that's more costly, but that doesn't have to be the case. A lot of things you can do, you think through the situation that is right for you and the solution that might be right for you, and do something that's within your budget, and you actually might save some money. Second is these tips that we're going to talk about today, if everyone were to do them and we work together, they definitely can make an impact. But the biggest impact that you can make, the biggest eco life hack you can take is registering to vote and voting for people who you think will support environmentally sound policies and advocating for those policies in your community. So with that, I will go on to start our video. Okay, let's take a look at the living room first. If you look at this graph, we can see that about 12% of greenhouse gases in the United States comes from commercial and residential usage, and 27% comes from electricity generation. So doing some things around the house can definitely make a difference. First, you could take a look at your thermostat, see if you can bear to turn it down a couple degrees. There's always blankets or putting on more layers that you can do to warm up. Next, of course, we've all heard about moving from incandescent light bulbs to compact fluorescent bulbs. That might be something to consider, and just always make sure you turn the lights off when you leave the room. You could also take a look around the house and see where you have chargers plugged in. Make sure that you unplug your chargers when they're not in use, because if they're still plugged into the wall, they are drawing a small amount of electricity while they're plugged in. All right, we often store our clothes in the bedroom, so let's talk a little bit about ways you could be more eco-friendly with your wardrobe. There's this thing called fast fashion, which has been more and more popular. That makes our clothes a lot cheaper. Trends come and go a lot quicker. So there's been a pushback against that, and you want to start thinking, if you want to be more eco-friendly, about buying maybe fewer pieces that are meant to last, or that go with more things, more outfits that they could help make, and invest in those pieces. Or on the flip side, you could also consider shopping more at thrift stores. Things are so much cheaper that if you do like switching up your wardrobe a lot, it's a more eco-friendly way to use used clothing to supplement your wardrobe. You also might have other things in your bedroom. Maybe you need furniture, it's a place to store toys. Two different ways that you might be able to reduce your environmental impact and when thinking about those items are different groups. For example, the Buy Nothing Project. You can find them online and on Facebook. There's communities of neighbors who often post and offer up items or post that they're looking for items, and you would be astounded at what people will give you for free. Same goes on Craigslist. There's a free section which you can browse to and see if happens to be something you're looking for. That you could get secondhand. There are a lot of ways to be environmentally friendly in the kitchen. The most impactful way is probably evaluating your meat consumption. Meat, of course, takes a lot of water and energy to produce and to transport. But even if you're not ready to go full vegetarian, you might consider reducing by even trying something called Meatless Mondays. Try not eating meat one day a week, or thinking about how you can reduce to the point that you feel comfortable. In the next picture, there are a bunch of things that I do in my kitchen to make it more eco-friendly, moving from left to right. Of course, reusable water bottles. That's something that's really easy instead of disposable water bottles if you're out and about. You can try composting. Have a compost bin in your kitchen so that you're reducing your waste. I have, instead of using foil or plastic wrap, you can use like glassware or Tupperware to store leftover foods. There's some like beeswax wrap, newer product that you can wrap things with instead of those disposable use plastics and foils. You can also consider using the bulk department of your grocery store if they have one, bringing reusable jars to fill it with things such as rice and beans and seeds if you eat any of that stuff, instead of getting the stuff that's pre-bagged. Using reusable jars cuts down on your packaging. And then something I do too is to make homemade cleaning solutions. Now it's important to note that these aren't like disinfectants that kill bacteria and viruses necessarily, but if you are using it for other purposes, just like a light wipe down of the counter, something I do is keep the peels of oranges or lemons or limes, grapefruits, cover that with vinegar, and then you can strain out the citrus, put it in a spray bottle, and it is a nice surface cleaner that helps cut down grease too, and saves money because vinegar is a lot cheaper than those name brand cleaners. This is one of my favorite tricks too, is just using a shower cap instead of plastic wrap. You just pop that on the top of the bowl and you don't have to worry about continuing to buy stuff. You just buy a set of shower caps once and they last a really long time. The bathroom is the perfect place to think about your water usage. The average American uses between 80 and 100 gallons of water per day. So there are some suggestions you can consider to how you can cut that down. First of which is consider using bar soap instead of liquid soap. Liquid soap is composed mostly of water, so you're paying to ship the water around from wherever it is instead of just getting the big chunk of soap that you can rinse with your own water more locally. It's also important to turn the water off in between uses. So if you're washing your hands or shaving, you could consider turning the water off while you do those activities and then turning it back on to rinse. About a third of that water, of that 80 to 100 gallons that every person in the US uses every day, comes from actually flushing the toilet. So there's a good old saying that is, if it's yellow, let it mellow. That works for your household. That might be something you can consider to really cut back on water usage. Keeping on the theme of water, we can talk a little bit about the laundry room. Just like bar soap can save water in the bathroom, using washing powder, dry laundry soap can help save water in the laundry room. If you really prefer liquids, you could also consider brands that are more biodegradable, that don't have extra scents and colors added to them so that they don't have to be filtered out of our water stream. When it comes to drying your clothes, a huge energy saver is hanging your clothes up to dry, whether that's on a drying rack or if you have a clothesline you can set up in if you have a yard or even somewhere inside your house. That saves a lot of energy and actually will keep your clothes good longer. The heat that's applied can also often break down the fibers in the clothes, so that's kind of a double win. Also in the dryer, you may have seen these wool balls that you can add to the dryer that helps it dry the load quicker. The same trick can be done by using just a plain old dry towel. If you add that into a wet load that you're going to put through the dryer, it'll help it to dry quicker. The last area that we're going to discuss is transportation. As you can see from this graph, it's where the largest amount of greenhouse gas emissions come from in the United States. So there are a variety of ways that we can think about reducing those. The most simple ways are walking or biking instead of taking a vehicle. You can also take a look at public transportation options in your area to see if there's a way that you can take the train and bus instead of going on your own in the car. Carpooling can also work if you can set that up with your friends or neighbors to get where you need to go. One other suggestion for cutting down on car trips is to really think ahead and plan about what you need to get done and where you need to go in a given week, say. You can plan out and make sure you're taking the most efficient trip so that you're not running out to take one trip after another on different days, but rather group those trips together and save on mileage and greenhouse gas emissions. Well, these are just some tips, some eco life hacks which you might find useful, but of course everybody's household and life is different, and so you might be using different things, finding different ways to make your life more environmentally friendly. But something we can all keep in mind is something called life cycle analysis. That's when you think about, how did this product or thing get made? How am I going to use it? And what's going to happen to it when I'm done using it? So if you think about those three pieces of information, it can help you make a decision whether it's really useful and necessary to have in your life, or whether it would be better for the environment to not have it or to not buy it, or to think about new and better ways to make it and to dispose of it. But thanks for watching the video. I hope you found something useful that you can try today to make your life a little bit more environmentally friendly. Thanks.